I hate that even though I put you on the screen first, it still like moves like because I'm the host. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just
Yeah.
feel like you should be on the screen first. Like
Oh, from my point of view, I was on the screen first,
oh,
and then
okay.
you came on. So who knows?
Okay. Okay.
It's the mysteries of the internet.
It's 2026.
Yes. Yes,
Insane.
folks. Yeah.
Insanity. So I'm
Yeah.
Tricia Broderick.
I'm Diana Larsen.
And we co-wrote Lead Without Blame. And once a month, we come back together publicly on a live stream
Yeah. Yeah.
to just kind of
Yeah.
continue to explore topics, to explore things that sometimes we try and do it on a theme. Sometimes it's just based on the topics
Yeah.
or requests from people of what they want to hear
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and us dig into. But it's not scripted. But you put the two of us together, we'll just talk forever anyway. So we have to be disciplined, not in what we say, but in our timing and box of these
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. 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 For
So
sure.
today's topic, do you want to share today's topic?
Today's topic is reflections on Lead Without Blame as a book. How is it doing? What's going on? How are we feeling about its reach? Who's enjoying it? Those kinds of things. Yeah.
Because it is crazy.
Yeah.
I was actually, although this is not scripted, I did prep for a second because I used to have these big poster up on my wall of our release date and stuff. So I always knew the
Yeah.
thing. And it's been out, it was published in September of 2022. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we've done
Yeah.
little bits of reflection stuff, but I don't think we've been very public about it. And so
No.
well, not a full retro by any means, but just a little bit of a
Yeah.
reflection and kind of things
Yeah.
for you. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with you first in the sense of this is not your first book and only book by any means.
Right. Right. Right.
So not in a comparison kind of way, but like what
Yeah.
has most surprised you about Lead Without Blame?
Well, I think of all of the books that I have published, so with the retrospectives book, Agile Retrospectives, first edition, Making Good Teams Great. Esther and I didn't really have a full marketing plan, but we were actively speaking at conferences and mostly focusing on retrospectives. And at that point, people were getting kind of excited about it. So we were able to notice when people are creating new activities, and there was some stuff like that going on. So, and we had the blessing of the Scrum Alliance at that time. Ken wrote the foreword for that book, and so it sort of blossomed on its own, right? And we didn't actually have to put a lot of what's our marketing strategy into that, or how are we going to get the awareness of the book out there. And then with Lead Without Blame, Ainsley and I just kind of stumbled through. We did very little promotion of that book, much less than it deserved, really. I mean, now in reflection and the people who've used it and the things that are going on with it now, I realize it really needed more energy to become more valuable to more people, or for more people to recognize the value that was in it. And then there have been other things, the Agile Fluency model that, so Lead Without Blame was really the first of the books, even including a book that came after, which was the second edition of Agile Retrospectives. It was the first one where we were more intentional. We were actually followed the guidance of our publisher and actually created a plan for marketing it and so on. And these sessions were a part of that. And I do think that's made a difference. I do think that's extended the reach a bit. I think it's one of those things where if you buy a Mercedes, all of a sudden you see or if you're thinking about buying a Mercedes, every so often, every other car you see on the road is a Mercedes all of a sudden. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realize there were so many. And so with the book, that I'm noticing more when people are referencing it, but I'm also noticing more how the idea of resilience and the environments that leaders are creating for people to work in, and particularly team environments, those things have become a more broadly focused and it just in the zeitgeist, right? In everything that people are talking about. And I really appreciate that support. And it makes me feel like we hit at a good time. That our timing was good, that people were ready to hear our Lead Without Blame message and our message about team resilience and why that's important and so on. So that's been a lot of what I've focused on and what I've noticed about the book. Um, I wish we had a little more data on what our actual sales numbers and things like that are. But we still get royalties, so we know it's still selling, and people keep complimenting me on the book when I'm out and about, and so I know there are people out there that are getting access to it and enjoying it. So
Yeah, and
um,
let's highlight
yeah,
that real quick. Like Barrett
yeah,
Kohler is our publisher, and it has been a little bit of a struggle in terms of getting updated numbers and understanding and things like that along the
yeah,
way. And to the point
yeah,
that I don't know about you, but I personally just went. I'm going to leave those metrics aside and just focus in on
yeah,
what we're trying to do with those things. I
right,
think my surprise is similar in that, like I think we came at the learning focused. I think my surprise and my wish maybe together is how
yeah,
much that became relevant, and like it did feel like all of a sudden it was everywhere and it was something we were talking about. And I wish we almost would have leaned in even harder on the resilience part as well
yeah,
in the book. I mean, I
yeah,
think we leaned very heavy on the learning aspect, which makes sense,
yeah,
but
right,
I now wish
right,
we would have done the resilience even harder in it as
yeah,
well. But
right,
but like it is in great, like it almost feels surreal to me because I'm like, how? Like you thought like it's great timing. And I was like, I just feel lucky.
yeah, yeah.
um
Well,
with
that's
that.
a lot of it, the uptake on any book or on anything, any content that you put out there, to some degree, there is always that element of timing and luck, just always. And so, in terms of blame, so those folks who don't have the timing or don't get the other kinds of elements of luck, it's not that you did it wrong. It's just that you didn't get this extra, I don't want, I don't want other authors to sort of blame themselves for, oh, I must not have done it right. Didn't do this or I didn't do. If you worked on marketing your book and it just didn't hit at the right time, you don't have any control over that. I mean, our emphasis on resilience, we knew the world was changing and there were some new things happening and COVID had just happened. We had no idea about all the other changes that were going to be happening in the world that were going to really require people to
I
focus
mean, we
more
still
on
didn't even fully
resilience.
understand COVID when we were writing during
Yes,
that, right?
yes, right.
I think that's the other thing that has surprised me in writing a book,
Yeah,
for me was I didn't understand. I mean, to be 3 years later, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
still feeling relevant, still
yeah,
feeling like it's helping, still
yeah,
like grateful for our relationship and the impact it's had on me,
yeah,
but just
right.
also the interactions that I still have with people about the content. I had somebody come to me and they were talking about like, well, this story about so and so. I was like, okay, which story is that? Because we changed all the
Yeah,
names. And I mean, they're all
yeah,
based on real stories, but we did change names. So I have to always kind of do like this internal
yeah,
mapping, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you had told me at the beginning, like that would have been one, like that was nowhere in the range of possible benefits that 3 years
yeah,
later, I would still be
yeah,
energized, engaged, passionate about the topic still and on that level.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was not prepared for that, did not expect
Right.
it, didn't even have it on the radar. And that has been a very big upside that I would highlight to people who are considering writing a book. Like
Right.
I do
Right.
think that it's not only focused me, but also propelled me in
Yeah.
ways that I didn't expect for this long a period of
Right.
time.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
And
my wish
yeah.
was a little bit more heavy on the resilience. What would be your
Right.
wish now for would we have gone a little bit deeper into?
Well, I don't,
Or if you have it.
I think there's still a lot in the book to be explored. I don't know that I would go back and do a lot of, that they're going back to do things differently. That you can't change the past. You just never can change the past. But we can look at what we did and double down on some of the things that are in there. And I mean, the sort of societal reaction to DEI and wokeness or anti-wokeness, and that, I mean, we really did emphasize in the book inclusion and inclusive collaboration. And we talk about that as one of the 4 resilience factors for teams, and the importance of having those various kinds of differences in the room, and welcoming and honoring them and learning to work with them and so on. And I mean, at the time, that topic was kind of on the rise. It was like, we should be more, blah, 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 blah. And even to the point where, people were saying not just DEI, but justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I mean, that there was even a bigger bundle there to start looking at, right? And that was happening. And then now this, we're gonna pretend like that never happened. It's like, no, we still need to be emphasizing that message, because just because some people don't like it doesn't mean that it's not relevant, and that it's that the reality is we have to figure out how to make that work for us and not against us, right? We have, if we ignore it, it's going to bite us, right? And so if we embrace it, it becomes our cuddly puppy.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things about this for me, is that I'm just proud of what we did. In terms of trying to help people, in terms of the content, in terms of the material, having it be, tactical and action oriented, but also like personalized and relatable. Like, so, but what if, right? Like that was, I mean, it was an abnormal approach in a book to some degree, is to put a section like that in each chapter. And yet it's some of the things that I'll hear from people about. And I think it comes down to that, is that I'm proud that we did tackle topics that people might have said, don't bother, or like, it's not worth it. That we made conscious choices to have Jamara come and edit, an editor on the book, and still grateful to her beyond belief with things. And so like, that's one of those elements. I remember listening to Mike Cohn told me once, he's like, if you can't go back to a former book and go, well, I probably wouldn't say that now, right? Like, then you're probably not evolving and growing. And yet, can you look at and that panicked me at some point, because I was like, oh my God, but then it's in writing and people are going to write. And I panicked a little bit. And his response to me was, but if you're proud of the whole, right? And I feel that to the core. And I feel it to the core because of what people have highlighted to me about how it's helped them. Like how they were able to try and do something, or they just started thinking about it in a different way, or they started tackling a topic they didn't want to tackle or had been avoiding. And like, I'm not always big on like success, like hang my hat on things. But this is
Right.
one of those things that people are like,
Right.
"Well, it'll be great when you can have an author title," but I'm not just happy with an author title. I'm proud of the author of this book, and that's a
Right.
cool feeling to have.
That's a cool feeling. Yeah. And you know, rather than saying how would I have done the book differently, I like to think in terms of if we were to write a second edition, what would we want to include now? What do we know now that we didn't know then? And it would include information on learning leadership in an AI environment. It would include more on remote, because we were writing it during the pandemic and remote was just coming to have the prominence that it has now in our workplaces. And so, you know, I would look at, okay, well, we didn't address this as deeply as maybe is the need right now. And so that's, you know, that's one thing why it's a good idea for us to do these lives and kind of update our thinking about the book in this format as opposed to a second edition of the book format, because it gives us a chance to talk about those things. So what is learning leadership if your teams are remote, and how do you do collaborative connections and inclusive collaboration and, you know, so on, and conflict in a remote team? How is that different? And how are teams going to change now that they're going to have the inclusion of maybe AI tools to use? I mean, I'm not willing to think of AI as team members just yet. I can't quite. I'm sorry, old school. I can't quite make.
I'm there,
but I can. But I can think about them as the LLMs and the other AI
accelerators
tools as good tools, right? These are
accelerators.
tools, and we need to know how to use them in an effective way. And so, what are some of the effectiveness tips for using AI with teams in a team environment? And so, you know, that if we were looking ahead and saying, what would we include today if we were writing now? You know, it would be, for me, it would be things like that. What are the new tools that kind of have adopted mind share? I mean, we already, when we wrote that book, went beyond just our Agile community.
Correct.
We
That's
already,
right
and we were very conscious about that. So go ahead with that.
Because that was like one of the other pros things that we were conscious, we were intentional. We didn't call it Agile. Some people gave us feedback on not doing that because they were like, you're going to miss out on, you know, like you should be, you know, weighing in more on that and being heavier. But the reality is what we were writing didn't apply to just Agile teams, or it was leadership as a whole. Now, I would argue in a lot of cases, I would argue that more leaders should also be incorporating Agile as an agility as a whole. But we were very mindful of that. I would say, despite our intention of that, I still think our networks and our communities in the Agile space drove the success of what we've experienced, which isn't a bad thing. That's amazing. I'm grateful for it. But I think I was hoping that our publisher and different things were going to really help us explore leadership in different communities and help them get exposed to what's possible, what we can bring to the table in terms of helping outside of the Agile world that really could benefit from some of the Agile world as well. And I think that happened in parts, but not at the level that I was kind of hoping for. So that's still something that's on a try again kind of list for me with it. But yet also, if it, you know, it's not stopping it still from right now. It's just that wasn't really, it was a conscious choice of ours that didn't really happen as much at the level that I think either one of us was kind of hoping for.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I like about it, though, is for me, in my context, I like the way in the book we didn't sort of leave behind everything from before, but we talked about, okay, so now you've heard about retrospectives in the team environment. Let's talk about retrospectives in the leadership environment. And so, you know, we added to that sort of understanding. How about starting teams? Like, I got the Liftoff book about starting teams or reviving teams that have gotten thrashing or whatever. How do we help them become healthy again? So, and we did include that stuff, that it is partly the leader's role to make sure that these things happen, these effectiveness attitudes or tone are in the environment so that people can work well together. And and then of course the 5 rules for accelerated learning model that is in there. So I'm really glad that we were able to find a place where those things got extended as well as the new ideas that
extended
we came up
and integrated, right, with
and
the other
integrated.
content.
Right. And something that you mentioned before that I want to emphasize again is we wrote this book not to just be a book you read, but that a book that helps you learn the things you want to learn. It helps you make choices about, what do I want to learn about being a better leader? And what are some questions I need to consider about that? And so on. And like you said, that was a new format for us. And I'm really glad that we did that. That I think has been the feedback I've gotten is that has been very helpful to people.
Obviously, we could go a long time into this. I think that highlighting when you just called what you just highlighted to is where we should end with this a little bit. It's just like, we both want to thank everybody that for their support over these years with it, for the feedback, for the comments, for the gratitude, for the I mean, I remember vividly somebody showing the book on the beach and that was their beach read. I was like, what are you doing? Right? And we felt it. We felt all of that. And that feels great, but it feels even better to know that it made a difference. And like that, the hour, like I think we've expressed this before, and I knew this going into it. You don't really make money writing the book. You've got to have alternative reasons why you are doing this and benefits. And by far having that response from people and being able to impact people without always because you can only scale so far has just been an incredible experience. And I'm grateful for it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
go ahead. No, go ahead. No,
I was going to close with where we're at.
Let's do that.
Okay. Where can people find you coming up?
Well, I'm going to be speaking for Lightspeed and Agile DC on the 11th of February. I'm doing a talk for them, and it's a talk about fear and change and how we deal with it's about resilience, frankly. So I hope people will get a chance to join me for that. I will be at Agile Open Northwest at the beginning of March, which is, a conference that's close to my heart. I have been involved in the Agile Meets Architecture conference that will be happening later in March in Berlin. I don't know if I'll be able to attend that or not. I'm still trying to figure out if that's but I'm really proud that I was able to participate in the program committee and I know it's going to be a great program. So I encourage people to go to that. So, and of course we do these every month. And so I'll be around for these. And I also speak with the Agile what used to be the Agile Coaching Network and is now the Agile Community Network. And we do that on usually the fourth, unless there's a holiday or something, the fourth Friday of every month. And you can find more about that at newagility.com, where Ray Arell is the host and I'm a panelist every month. And I really enjoy that. It's very fun. And we make it very interactive for our audience there. So, yeah. Yeah.
Before I share where I'll be, I actually want to call out my friend, former colleague, Jess. She actually put beach reads are a construct.
Yeah.
What better way to relax than feel like you're solving problems when you return to work?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Fair
Nice.
point, Jess. Fair point. I hope all is well.
Yeah.
So where I'm going to be, I really don't have a lot of public stuff coming up. I have one public leading amazing teams that I do with Jake Calabrese maybe at the end of Q1 virtual. I will be at Bob Gallen's meetup this month, and I'm sorry that I don't know the meetup name versus the person who's organizing it. Otherwise, I'm just calling it Bob Gallen's meetup. He probably doesn't want that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But somewhere in Virginia area is that meetup. I apologize for that. I just realized that I only wrote his name down and that was the thing. And as a surprise that I did purposely and did not tell you, I will be at Agile Open Northwest.
Oh, yay. Yay.
So I just registered. I will be heading that way and we'll be there as well. So, but if
come
you
early, stay
what?
late. I said, come early and stay late so we can stay.
Yeah. So if you have a topic you want us to cover, we'll be back February 3rd with the next, not a Friday. We're going to be on a Tuesday this next month. Changing it up in the new year, just different things.
Yeah.
But if you have a topic you want us to talk about, just let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you then.
Yeah.